Welcome back to Common Core 1.2 Part B. So now what we're going to do, if you remember last time, we had just finished talking about when you have a negative on the inside or outside of a parenthesis. Quick reminder that if the negative's on the inside, it would be, in this case, negative 5 to the third power, negative 5 times negative 5 times negative 5, where here you would have 5 times 5 times 5, and then the negative would come after. That being said, try these skill practices. There are 4 skill practices. Go ahead and try to see what the answers will be at this time. Go ahead. Let's see how you did. For the first one, the 2 negative 6's become a positive to make 36. In this one, the 2 6's make 36, but the negative weights to make it a negative 36. In these two, the 2 negative 7's make a positive, but in this one, 7 times 7 makes 49, negative weights to make it a negative 49. Now, fractions. And again, I know you're like, oh, fractions. Yeah, but now we have to do fractions with exponents. You're going to be doing them all through high school, so let's do it now. All you have to do for an exponent with a fraction is say, okay, since it's a 2, there's going to be 2 2/3 being multiplied. So, okay, 2/3 square just means 2/3 times 2/3. Remember, top times top, bottom times bottom. So, 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. So really, the square of 2/3 is 4/9. Go ahead and you try. Pause it. Let's see how you did. You would simply have 4/7 times another 4/7. So I hope you get 16 over 49. We just did that you try, no reason for you to do it. But do try these skill practices. There are 4 of them. Go ahead and pause this time. Let's see how you did. 2/5 square makes 2/5 times 2/5, which makes 4/25. 8/9 square makes 8/9 times 8/9, which makes 64 over 81. Negative 4/7 to the third power would make 4 times 4 times 4, and 7 times 7 times 7, which will get you these numbers. Negative weights to turn it negative. This time you have 4 and negative 1/3. Remember, 4 and negatives, even number of negatives, they all turn positive. So you have 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. One quick note. For this guy here, for 2/5 square and all the other ones, if you prefer, rather than writing 2/5 times 2/5, you could just put the squares like this. And say 2 times 2 is 4, and 5 times 5 is 25, if it helps. Now for negative exponents. Now, we don't have the little graphics here, but that's okay. But exponents measure infinite growth, as we mentioned. Negative exponents measure infinite decay, when something gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So if this is graph, it would just get smaller and smaller over time. Imagine taking a homework assignment. Now, if it was turned in on its due date, let's say it's 100 points. But every day is halved. So let's say on time it would be 100, but the first day it's late would only be 50. 2 days late would be 25, 3 days late would be 12.5. Notice how it keeps going. Notice by the 7th day, it's less than 1%. And that just divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, which is why most teachers, after a couple days of being late, they're like, what's the point? Because if you cut it in half all the time, there's nothing left. Notice how the amount gets small very quickly. Within 6 days, it's down to about 1 point. Notice how while it keeps getting smaller, it never goes to 0. So exponentially things getting smaller does not mean it's nothing. It just means it keeps getting smaller and smaller. Now, just like you have 5 squared equals 5 times 5, which is 25, 5 to the negative second power, instead of getting 5 times larger, 5 times smaller. So 5 to the negative second power means 1/5 times 1/5 equals 1 over 25, and we're going to talk about that. So just you put 1 over the number. So instead of 5 times 5 making 25, the negative means 1 over. Check this out. Let me do a little bit more here. So we have 5 to the negative second power. You just take 5 times 5, which gives you 25. But instead of being 25 times as large, 25 times as small. So you just put 1 over the number. It means I'm going to divide it by 25. So take 6 to the negative second power. Okay, Well, by the way, if I had just 6 to the negative first power, I'm just saying 1/6, 1 over 6. Instead of being 6 times as large, 6 times as small. Well, 6 to the negative second means we're going to be taking 6 times 6, but it's going to be 36 times as small. So 1 over 36. So really, 6 times 6, 36. Negative means 1 over that. That's all. So just if you ignored that, you would have 36. When you don't ignore it, you have 1 over 36. Do the you try, but let me help you as well. So let's take a look. 3 times 3 is 9, but the negative exponent means 1 over 9. It does not mean negative 1/9. The negative exponent just means going, instead of getting bigger, get smaller. 7 to the first power would only be 7, because it's negative exponent 1 over 7. 6 to the third power, well, 6 times 6 times 6. I'm going to say 216. Hope I'm right. Early morning for me. But negative exponent means 1 over 216. So hopefully you got those right. Skills practice. Go ahead and try these 4. Pause this time. Let's see how you did. 1 over 49, 1 over 444, 1 over 64, 1 over 16. This is a concept, either you get it right away or you need to work at it a bunch. Probably most of you have it, maybe not all. We'll definitely be doing some practices tomorrow to make sure that you're okay with it. And if you got this, negative 2 to the negative fourth, this is not a case where two negatives make a positive, because this negative is controlling the outcome after this is settled. Remember, the exponent goes first. The negative has to wait its turn. Do this part first. So, okay. What it means is you could do like I have below, and I'm going to show you the shortcut. The way I have below is 4 1/2. Why don't we just take 2 to the fourth power? 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to make 16. Because it's a negative exponent, 1 over 16. And then this negative is just going to sit out and make it a negative. Do one thing at a time. Now I have the other way down below. Looking back now, I think it's going to be a little more difficult to understand, but I'm saying 2 to the negative fourth power means 4 and negative 1/2. How did I get that? Because 2 to the negative first power would be a negative half, and I'm saying there's 4 of them, so there'd be 4 halves. The negative weights, so the final outcome is negative 1/16, like up here. I think now, though, as I'm doing this a few more times, it might simply be easier to say, well, what's 2 to the fourth power? Okay, that's 16. Negative exponent means 1 over, so instead of 16 times as large, 16 times as small. And finally, the negative on the outside simply turns it into a negative. This is not easy. This is Algebra 1 stuff. I'm talking like middle of the year. So if you're having trouble, that's understandable. But we will still solve it. So you try these 4. Okay, let me try to help you now. 3 to the fourth power, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. How do I know that, by the way? Because if I have 4 3's, 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 9 is 81. That's the easy way of doing it. But it's negative exponent, so 1 over. And the negative makes it negative 1 over 81. Gotta check the time here. Let me speed this up just to make sure I have enough time to finish. This is going to be negative 1 over 125. This is going to be negative 1 over 1. Now that's tricky. Why? Because 1 to the fourth power is 1. Negative means 1 over 1. And the negative from the outside, so really this is negative 1. That's hard to believe, but it's true. So hopefully you got that. If you didn't, that's fine. 2 to the negative 6th power, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Then times another 2 and another 2. 16, 32, 64. So 64. And again, if you calculate that, fine. Negative exponent means 1 over, and the negative in front means negative 1 over 64. Skills practice. So the bigger they are, so what? Just calculate. So if you need to calculate, go ahead. 6 to the fourth power, take 6 times 6 times 6 times 6, etc. Let's see how you did. And for this, I'm going to break out the calculator, I think. Because I'm not sure what 6 to the fourth power is going to be off the top of my head. I know it's 36 times 36, but I don't know. 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. All right, 1,296. So 1,296. Oh, but it's negative, so 1 over. Negative in front means negative. That's all. Now 7 times 7 times 7, I'm going to guess 343, but I want to make sure. So 7 times 7, oops. Yeah. 7 times 7 times 7, 343. Got to learn to trust myself. 343, but negative exponent, so 1 over. And then negative means negative that. 8 to the 4th power, I know that's 64 times 64, but again, I'm not sure what that is. So let me go ahead and just take, I'll just take 64 times 64. Now, if you're wondering how I did that, because 8 times 8, 64, 8 times 8, 64. So 4,096, 1 over, and then 6 to the 3rd power. I have these actually on the next page, come to think of it. I should just do that. Or negative 1 over 729. Just a couple pages to go. Lastly, an extension, just to give you a quick order of operations. I know we haven't really covered it very much, just a quick, we did once. A real quick, parentheses go first, exponents go second, multiplication and division go next, and finally addition and subtraction. Take a look here. 4 plus 3 times 2, second power, plus 3 times 4, parenthesis. First level is parentheses, so we have to do what's inside first. Now look how there's a plus and a times inside the parenthesis. So in that case, we'll do the times first. 3 times 2 is 6, and then 4 plus that. So you're going to have, basically, this becomes 10. So you have 10 square. Here, 3 times 4 square, square's inside. So square becomes before the times. So 4 square is 16. Then you have 3 times 16. Well, 3 times 16 is going to be 48, and 10 square makes 100. So 100 plus 48, that's supposed to be a plus, mind you. So I get 10 square right here, which makes 100, and then this makes 48, therefore 148. Do a quick U-try. See how you did. 2 plus 5 goes first because inside the parenthesis, then 7 square because it's still, by the way, the 7 as a parenthesis here really just means times. You might say, wait a minute, doesn't that parenthesis goes first, and what do you mean by times? What's inside the parenthesis goes first. That's true. But 7 by itself just means 3 times 7. So you're going to do the exponent first. So, okay, 7 squared is 49. 3 times 49 is 147. Now, this minus just basically separates the two things. And so now we have 3 to the 4th power. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is 81. So all this minus 81 is 66. And we're going to do a skills practice real quick. 1 and then the answers. Go ahead and pause. Let's see how you did. This one, by the time it's all said and done, I get negative 108. This guy looks like it's 299. And this guy is negative 125. Hope you got them all. We'll be definitely doing some in class tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.